Well, frankly, the instant Dan Moldea showed up to start talking about how he knew that she was going to kill herself, that to me was the absolute clincher that we're dealing with a cover-up here, because Dan and I went head-to-head back on the Vince Foster case. He even still has a web page at his website specifically targeting me for the issues I raised in the Vince Foster assassination. So any doubts I may have had that this was a murder vanished as soon as Dan showed up.
You know, whoever would have had anything to do with it was a very, very, very smart person, because my only question was, how did the police, even though I know they were there, they have these two letters. In fact, I've got copies of them right now in front of me. How did they know it was a suicide? What made them say it was a suicide? Just because
they announced
within, like a suicide.
They announced within minutes that it was a suicide. Well, let me tell you how this works. She gets out of the car. It was like in a weird park by an industrial area by itself. You taser her, you take her in and hang her. That's their favorite way of doing it. Mike Rivero?
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many inconsistencies with this. I mean, first of all, the notes themselves talk about her being penniless and alone, and that is obviously inconsistent with the idea that she had a book deal, potentially a movie deal. The track record of Hollywood is they always make a big deal about these madams to the elite stories, like the Happy Hooker and the Mayflower Madam. They always get book deals in TV shows and movies. So the reality is, and Palfrey was smart enough to know this because she went to law school. She would go to prison for maybe 6 years. She'd come out of prison probably a lot richer than us regular working stiffs who are out here in the free world working 9 to 5. So this idea that she was going to be penniless was absolutely nonsense.
We also saw the over-the-top zealousness to say she would have spent 50 years. She was depressed. Her life was over. It's clearly suicide. And within 30 minutes of it being announced, this guy's already contacted us, and the article's already written. She told him she was going to do it. Ignore all these tapes and ignore her saying she was scared. She killed herself. Shut up. That's how it happened.
Jeane Palfrey was a person with a sense of humor. And I wish I could find, I had a little Post-it note she sent me one time, and it was evidently it was somebody by Spencer's or one of the gift stores, 100 things to do with a dead cat. And one of the things in the upper left-hand corner, I remember looking at a cat that was hanging like it was strangled itself. And it says, just hanging around waiting for you. And she had just wrote me some little note on it, and I just took that as being very ironic that she would have used that so many years ago, and that's the way she died. And
that it was already a pre-made package of cat jokes. That happened to be the one that that's an omen, and there's something real to those portents and omens in life. I've certainly learned that. Call it what you want. It's something goes on weird in the universe like that.
By any chance, do you still have that Post-it note?
I was about to say.
If I find it, I'm going to sell it on eBay.
Would you send a scan to Alex and I?
I sure will.
Well, this is what I was going to say.
I'll look around for it. I think I threw it out, though, but, it was something that wasn't, something...
Well, the point we're trying to get to here is that if you have any examples of Palfrey's handwriting, I'm sure Alex Jones and myself would appreciate getting a scan of those.
Sure, certainly.
Comparison against the notes.
Yes, I have many notes that she had sent me over the years, and I would certainly make those available to you.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
Well, I want to be clear here. Absolutely, this is a murder investigation. We're doing the real deal, and if during a break I can give you a fax number, you could blot out any personal info or anything like that, sir. But but Mike actually works in Hollywood on big TV shows like Lost. He's an expert in special effects. He knows a lot of criminologists and forensics people that can look at it. If you'll get me a copy, I'll get it to Mike. In fact, Mike, if you can dig out your fax number, I'd be happy to have him just send it directly to you, or would you rather me go with this?
I would rather he fax it to you because we both need to get this out so it's defense in depth. But if you could then email a scan back to me, I would really appreciate that.
Okay, because just the way the note is written is very, very suspicious, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, it is. It doesn't fit the profile of a suicide. It doesn't fit the Palfrey that you and I both spoke to. And, I want to put one more wrinkle in here, and this even goes back to the Vince Foster investigation. The law in the United States is that all unattended deaths are treated as murder until suicide is proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And when they come right out and say, oh, there is no question this is a suicide, especially only 2 weeks after this duct tape and slashed up and bashed in guy is thrown in a lake and they declare that a suicide, I mean, the credibility of the police right now is a big fat zero on this.
Yeah. Well, I definitely thought they were way too fast in calling it a suicide.
Again, we're talking to Joseph Stryzak, and I appreciate you coming on, Mr. Stryzak. Any other points we haven't raised? Any other points you'd like to make?
Well, you're right in saying I know she was going to try to have an appeal done. Where's her attorneys with all this information? I mean, certainly they have looked at all her records. They know everything about her. I know she was a little bit upset with them because their cost to protect her legally was very expensive. I know that she talked about that several times, but where's her attorney in all this?
Well, this is also very, very suspicious that we haven't heard from them on the news shows. Mike Rivero, your take on that?
Yeah, I'm absolutely in agreement, because if Palfrey had made copies of the information that is now in the now vanished box, I would presume her lawyers would have it. But again, not a word at all, and I find that very alarming.
Now, if anybody out there other than family is in a position to talk to Miss Palfrey's mother, Mrs. Palfrey, that would be Joseph Stryzak. Have you had occasion to dig out her mother's number out of your files, or to call her, or to see if, or have you heard from the family about her belongings, or has anybody wanted to get into her stuff? What's been happening on that front?
Well, being that we're a very secure building here, no one will get in there until I know her mother. And I know her mother from this letter. She's going to be the executor of the estate. So, no one's contacted. I did talk to someone in the family the other day, and I knew her calling hours were on Saturday and Sunday for her services. But other than that, no, we've never been contacted as to when there's going to be anyone showing up or who is going to show up. I'm sure that something will come about in your future, but no, I've not been contacted by anyone in the family.
I'm tempted to jump on an airplane and go to that service. I bet I could find out a lot of key info.
It was this past Saturday and Sunday.
Boy, they sure did that quick, Mike.
Yeah, I thought that was very, very well. Of course, I think today everyone wants to get it. Death is a very fast thing today.
Not if it's a murder, though. We appreciate your amazing courage, Joseph Stryzak. Stay there. Mike Rivero riding shotgun with us. About 15 minutes in the next hour, we'll talk to Mr. Stryzak on the other side and ferret out some more details, but some big tidbits there. She specifically feared for her life, not just a hit, but was liked where she was living because it had higher security. She could relax. She was, quote, paranoid. We're back live with Joseph Stryzak, building manager there at the condominium high-rise where Deborah Jeane Palfrey, the D.C. madam, lived. You talk about that she thought powerful men might be after her, that she was being followed. Did she ever mention to you or hint at who these powerful men could have been, Mr. Stryzak?
In a conversation we had quite a few months ago, probably in January, we were talking about some of her clients, and she told me that it started at the White House and it went from there. So she said they weren't all Republicans, that there was also Democrats involved in this.
Okay, that's a big new development, Mike Rivero. He just said from the White House on down. She would never say that previously. When I brought up other researchers claiming it was Cheney and, of course, McCain, she would say, well, I have heard that, and then she would imply that it was true. That's a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. She had been implying some very high-level people. There had been some comments off the record which implied it, but it always seemed like these were the chips that she was really hanging on to try and negotiate her way out of the prison sentence. Obviously, somewhere along the line, somebody miscalculated, or this wet work would not have been necessary.
I was about to say, sir, I'm not trying to scare you, Mr. Strizak, but I would imagine you've already had the willies if you've got good instincts, and I would imagine you do. Think of anything else she told you, I would just dump it all now